2015 will go down as the year that the U.S. began grappling with the problem of police violence. There were numerous high-profile lethal force cases this year. One of them, Tamir Rice. The 12-year-old was playing with a pellet gun in a Cleveland park when he was shot and killed by police. Just 3 days ago, a grand jury decided not to indict the two officers in the case, and that decision sparked outrage.
And joining us now to talk about police shootings and use of force is retired LAPD Sergeant Cheryl Dorsey, who's the author of the book, The Creation of a Manifesto, Black and Blue. All right, we've talked some time before in the past. We're coming up to the end of the year 2015. 2016 is going to be a big year ahead of some police issues and some trials, perhaps. Where do you think we stand when it comes to policing in America right now? Broad question, I know.
Well, you know, for me, not a lot has changed, right? And so we have a couple of things here locally that are coming down the pipeline, and I'm talking about the Ezell Ford shooting by Los Angeles Police Department officers, and I'm encouraged by the fact that starting January, Governor Brown has banned the use of grand juries for police officer-involved shootings, so that's encouraging. But when we think about Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland and Sam DuBose and the things that are happening nationally, you know, I call what happened with Tamir Rice and those officers a tragedy. They prepared us for a non-indictment. McGinty had told us all along when he brought in his experts who said that the shooting was justified. Then I was not surprised when they came back with a non-indictment. The tactics that led up to that shooting were problematic for me, and what I see occurring again and again are bad tactics, no pre-planning, and then a lack of accountability when officers do a terrible thing, like in the case of Tamir, which is use deadly force.
All right, so in that case,
go ahead.
In that case, they're saying now it's going to be under administrative review, which means they're probably going to be looking at things like that.
Well, listen, administrative review means that they're going to bless that shooting. They've already said that.
But the tactics, you got to look at the tactics.
Absolutely, the tactics are deplorable, and so we understand that. But I don't expect them to do anything. And the fact that Tim Lohman was hired by that police department is problematic, because understand he came from another police department where they said that his career record was dismal, right? And so when you allow officers to move around like NBA players do from team to team, we get officers who commit outrageous and egregious offenses. They're given the gift of resignation and they move on to do exactly what Tim Lohman did, which was kill a small child.
He was in training.
What happened in 2015? And, you know, it was a year that really was punctuated by all of these officer-involved shootings, and we've had these in the past before, but all of a sudden it sort of dominated the news coverage. Was it the video really that made the difference in all these cases?
I think the advent of the cell phone is amazing, because now people are starting to see what we in the black and brown community know exists. The thing that we've been complaining about, that police chiefs and commissioners say, oh no, you got it wrong because you're not really a police officer and you don't know, you don't understand what it is to be a police officer. Now we see officers will lie, right? We see officers fabricate and manufacture reasonable cause to stop someone.
But I think too, like, let's look at the Sandra Bland case. You have some video of that police stop. You have some video there at the jail, but there's nothing that shows that there was foul play within the jail system where she died.
The story is problematic for me, and I believe that jailers have a symbiotic relationship with the officers who come there. And I believe that those officers in that jail just finished what Brian Encinias started in the field. I don't believe for a moment that Sandra Bland committed suicide. And so unless and until there's accountability, because that's what the family members of victims want, accountability for officers who behave badly.
There's no evidence to back that thought up.
And don't we expect them to say that, right? Because if they ever admit wrongdoing, then they understand that civil liability follows. You never hear a police chief say that we didn't get it right. Even when we see that they didn't get it right. In the case of Akai Gurley, where you have an officer doing vertical patrol in New York City, excuse me, in New York City stairwells, has an accidental discharge is what they tell us, and shoot and kills Akai Gurley, they say that that was an unfortunate accident. That's wrongdoing. And so if they don't admit that there's something wrong, then there's never anything to fix.
You also seen the Freddie Gray case just a couple of days ago that ended in a mistrial. And so as we approach the end of the year, you see the sort of the resolution, or almost the lack of resolution in many of these cases, I guess, for a lot of folks.
But you are seeing officers brought to trial. And that's a great example, Bob.
Yeah.
We're seeing them come to trial, but what we need to see is that conviction. I believe that great deference is given to police officers, and so when an officer says something, people want to believe it. My hope is that jurors going forward will understand that sometimes officers will not be honest about the things that led up to a deadly force situation that should have never
But
occurred.
Sergeant, isn't that what the jury system is for? I mean, you have a jury of our peers who are making the decision. In this case, that's the decision that they came based on the evidence that was given to them.
Well, again, I think great deference is given to a police officer, and so what I would like to see is I would like to see that officer be required to articulate that use of force, that deadly force, articulate every round that was fired. I give you rounds 1 and 2, you were in fear for your life, but after you've shot someone 14 times, what was the fear for round 15 and 16? I don't get it.
Well, I think we should point out that there are convictions because we had that right here even within our own LA County Sheriff's Department jail system. So we have to wrap it up, but thank you for your perspective. In 2016, I think you should come back because there's going to be a lot to talk about.
Oh, of course.
Would love to. Thank
Senator
you for
Dorsey,
having me.
thank you so much. All right.